I'm a 23-year-old gay drag queen. Drag name will be kept private for the sake of staying anonymous, and I met Neckbeard Sr., NB Sr., when I was 19 years old in my art class at college. I worked on a project with him, and he proceeded to harass me and practically stalk me after finding out I was a drag queen, comparing me to his waifu Pillow. Gross. And eventually found the club I worked at and proceeded to grope me and harass me throughout my performance until he finally got scared away by one of the older queens. Note, for anyone wondering why I did not get the police involved, I hate feeling like I am bothering people even if those people are literally paid to help me, and it does not help my anxiety. Plus, I thought he'd been scared off. Also, I did not have any issues with NB Sr. groping me or anything again. You'll see why I still have lots of NB stories despite this in a little bit. Anyways, after about 4 weeks of non-stop texting, calling, voicemails, and even a goddamn letter, I know, really freaking strange, from him begging for forgiveness, I eventually caved. Now, keep in mind that I did not want to, but he went into a whole spiel about how he was just so desperate for a human connection ever since his wife left him. I believe she developed a sense of smell and got help with her self-esteem, and that he'd never do anything like that again. Now, this did not in any way, shape, or form justify the groping and gross comments, but I was tired of all this drama, even posting online and talking in person about how he did not think his life was worth it anymore. So, I forgave him to make him stop. He was true to his word. He did not touch me or make any crude comments about me for a few months. Yeah, he'd still sit uncomfortably close to me in class, making me nauseous from the smell, and he would still go on and on about Yoko, his waifu body pillow, and tell me about the new hentai yaoi yuri that he was watching at the time. Ew. Hell, he even came to my shows most times. My Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday night performances were at a different club from my aunt's, and while he did not even attempt to grope me out of fear that one of the older protective queens would see and he'd end up leaving with a high heel through his eye, he did not stare at my padded butt and breastplate without even trying to hide it, and tend to glare at any of the audience members I flirted with. Everything seemed to be going well, or as well as having a creepy neckbeard following you could go. Hell, he even got a girlfriend. Granted, she was a legbeard, and also seemed to have a creepy fascination with drag queens. Do these people even know how to human? But at least she was around his age, thank God, and she took a lot of attention away from me. He still came to the shows to perv at me, and I even noticed his creepy girlfriend staring at me. I did let this continue to avoid any drama. At least he was not initiating physical contact. To her credit, CGF, the creepy girlfriend, did try and hide her staring and kept her creepy fetish for drag queens on the down low. We even had some cool conversations about LGBT history at lunch. She finished her shift at work around the time lunch started at college and would often come to visit NB Sr., and for a while I thought she was pretty chill. It was around this time that I met NB Sr.'s Satan spawn. We'll call them Baby Beard 1 and 2. BBB1 and BBB2 because neither of them had managed to grow a full-on neckbeard. BBB1 did not look like a neckbeard at all. He was clean-shaven, looked well-kept. It did not have the classic fedora and trench coat that his dad looked so fabulous in. Though his personality was textbook neckbeard, and he had a slight bad breath problem, I did not have any issues with him, and he, unlike his dad and brother, did not obsess over me. BBB2, on the other hand, was a whole other story. If NB Sr. was creepy and a little serial killerish, then NBB2 was Norman Bates. He looked like a younger version of his dad minus the beard and trench coat. He preferred anime sweatshirts, and he also seemed to have inherited his father's disregard for personal hygiene. The day I met him, he grabbed my hand and kissed it, saying, "Wow, you really are a beautiful goddess, baby girl." Barf. Now this pissed me off. I use female pronouns when I'm in drag. The only other time people will refer to me as she and her is when the girls and I are working at the club. This creep does not know me, and he's using female pronouns even though it's pretty obvious I'm not in drag. I don't know, it just irks me. Some friends will switch pronouns for me, but those are really close friends. They do not do it often. I gently corrected him and thought that this would be the end of it. When has luck ever been on my side? BBB2 started coming to the club with his dad and CGF to watch my shows. I feel like MB Sr. had warned him against groping, knowing all too well that he'd get called out for it, and he stuck with staring at me like a piece of meat. Again, gross as fuck, I know, and even started to try and get my attention by tipping me more often than the regular customers. Basically, if you do not know, at some drag shows, the audience members will hand money to the performers or throw it on stage. It's always fun, but usually they tip like 10 to 20 at my clubs, but BB2 was persistent. He'd throw at least double or triple that amount. I wound up trying to sneak the money back into his wallet most nights because I did not want to take it. Sometimes he caught me and would pet my hair, tell me I was a sweet little baby girl. Excuse me while I go vomit, and would slip it into my waistband or even where my outfits showed off my breastplate. He would do it subtly so he would not get called out for it. Now, this behavior continued for years. I know, I am the idiot that let this happen, but I did not want any drama, and he would often guilt-trip me into forgiving him, or if that did not work, he'd blackmail me. I feel like some context is needed for the blackmail thing. I had started dating my boyfriend, BF, when I was 20 and he was 21. He is super sweet and I love him to pieces, but we had to keep our relationship on the down low at the time, as his family were very religious and he was terrified that they would disown him. They did not. They are amazing and have adopted me as their son-in-law and are 100% accepting, but at the time, my BF was terrified of telling them, which is understandable. Anyway, BB2 told me that he had pictures of us kissing and holding hands, which was not completely unbelievable, as we often got more touchy-feely with each other when we've been drinking at parties, that BB2 also attended, and he threatened to send this to the BF's parents and older sister, which in our heads would make them disown BF, and would make BF leave me. I have some serious abandonment issues that I will not get into, so this was my worst nightmare. Now, I'm going to skip some stuff. Him attempting to get me kicked out of my course to be with him, trying to break me and BF up, and so on. I might do a part 3 where I get into detail about his prior offenses, because I want to talk about his most recent offense, and the one that made me freak out at him. Warning. There is some not safe for work-ish content in the part of the story. So this happened about a month and a half ago, and it's the reason that I decided to share these stories in the first place. Currently, I am studying illustration at university, which I thoroughly enjoy. BF is in the music program at the same university. Now, the professor had asked us to choose a landmark in the city, and we had to draw it in our personal art style. Pretty cool, so a group of us decided to go to a landmark outside the city, rent a hotel room, and stay there for a few days to draw and get drunk. It wound up being me, 5 of my classmates, and a few people from our friend group, including BBB2, of course. I'd taken time off work, but still brought some drag supplies. As I stated in the previous story, I sometimes dress in drag when my anxiety is really bad, as my drag persona helps me with my overall mental health. BF also had some free time and decided to come with us, much to the dismay of greasy little baby Beard. The first 2 days were uneventful. We did our work, went shopping, and spent a little bit of time exploring. BB2 was harping on and on about how he wanted some of us to draw hentai for him so he can hang it in his bedroom. I learned to shut off to him, so his voice eventually became white noise after a little while. It was all fine until the 3rd night. We huddled in one of the rooms to have a drink and joke around whilst not disturbing the other hotel peeps, and I decided to dress in drag to help me relax. A purple leotard with a cute little skirt and some heels. Everyone else was used to this and just switched to the she/her pronouns and a shortened version of my drag name and continued like normal, except for BB2. He kept staring, touching, trying to kiss my breastplate, and just generally making me feel uneasy. I tried to forget about it and had another little drink. Big mistake. After a while, I decided to feel weird. Like I was getting really drunk, but bitch, I can drink a lot, and here I'd only had about 3 vodkas. I don't have much memory of that night, though I do remember BBB2 offering to put me to bed, an offer which BF politely but firmly refused. BF was drinking himself, so I do not blame him for not noticing that I'd been roofied. I wonder who could have done that. The next day was spent feeling absolutely ill. Not much else happened that day other than me feeling a bit dramatic and that I was dying. The next night, though, still in drag, we drank a bit more. I was feeling better and was ready to just enjoy myself. The night passed in a blur, and ended up with BF and I feeling some type of way and heading to our hotel room to fix our problems. Now, whenever I'm in drag, BF will call me by a cute little nickname, especially when we're in bed. Tonight was no different, and because we were a little trashed, we were a little bit louder in bed than we usually would be. Not loud enough that we disturb anyone, but loud enough that you could hear if you were about to walk into the room. I know what you're probably thinking. No, BB2 did not walk in on us. That would be too easy. The next day comes around, and I decide that since BF and I were a little rough last night, walking around town might be a slight issue. Anyways, BF and my friends leave to do some shopping, and BF promises to bring me a Domino's pepperoni pizza back. Best hangover cure. Fight me. And goes on his merry way. He informs me that BB2 does not want to go with them. I tell them okay, and I'll be fine by myself with him for a couple hours. BF is very way of BB2. After about an hour, I decide to feel a bit better and decide to go check on my greasy little stalker. He had a habit of locking himself away from everyone and threatening to hurt himself after he had a drink, and I got a bit worried because he had not texted me like he normally would. I head to his room and knock. No answer. I try about 4 or 5 times and call out to him, but get no response. I'm worried at this point. Yeah, he's a creep and a scummy person, but I did not want him hurting himself. So I grabbed the spare key from my room. We all got extra keys in case someone got locked out of the room. I unlocked the door and let myself in to only find BB2 on the bed doing, well, you know, the sound of moaning coming from his phone. He froze and just stared at me, and I turned to leave. That's when I hear it. The nickname BF uses for me, in BF's voice, coming from BB2's phone. This vile little hellspawn fucking listened to BF and I having sex and recorded it to keep as a goddamn memento to have him jack off to. I was livid. He'd start pulling up his pants at this point and trying to lie his way out of it. I slapped him. I'm not a violent person, but I could not help it. At this point, everything I kept bottled up for so long just came spilling out, and it felt great. He just stood there and stared at me while I screamed at him. The cops did not get involved this time. Thankfully, they got there before BF could or have gotten arrested for murder. Anyways, I now have a restraining order against him. Took me long enough. MB Sr. is currently serving time for an unrelated drug charge, but I still get letters from him from time to time. He's still as creepy and disturbing as ever. Anyways, I hope you'll like the story. I got bored and figured why not, you know? I have plenty of past stories about the Neckbeard clan, but that's another day. I hope you're all having a great day.